Hey, this is Stephen Platinum, your friend in wrestling, with Platinum versus AEW Dynamite from September 9th, 2020. We open up with Tony Schiavone on the outside, and they do a cool little bit with Chris Jericho and MJF, where they kind of praise each other. They're going to call each other, and then as they're walking away, they call each other losers behind their back. This is a great little bit. I think it elevates MJF. It sort of points out the fact that heels lost the major matches and all that kind of stuff. Just really clever, really funny. We have the AEW Open at that point, which is, I think, just very effective. They had a cool little bit, and then we go to the Open. I liked it a lot. And we're there, of course, with JR and Tony and Excalibur. We're going to open with a match right away, which I love, with the Lucha Brothers against the Jurassic Express, the two that are menacing anyway. Marco Stunt is there. He doesn't really factor into this match at all. The holy moly, the spots of this thing that caught my eye. The overhead choke slam that Luchasaurus does, where he grabs you in a choke slam, goozles you, but then tosses you over his head, is always incredibly impressive. The Lucha Brothers, I noticed, they often take the bumps on the upper part of their back. They often don't land flat. Now, sometimes they can't, but man, does that look like it's just murdering them. Oof, really something. And then we have a flurry of moves at the end, including a Canadian Destroyer, but it leads to Jungle Boy basically rolling up one of the Lucha Brothers. Lucha Brothers are mad at each other, but Eddie Kingston shows up with Butcher and Blade and gets them to shake hands and hug. So strong, hot open. Obviously, the Jurassic Express are going to get that push forward to go against FTR at some point soon, I imagine. Tonight we're going to see Brody Lee and Dustin, I presume, for the TNT title. I presume that's our main event. We're going to get Sonny Kiss and Joey Janela versus Jericho and Jake Hager. Okay. Orange Cassidy against Angelico. Nyla Rose against Tay Conti. So I heard that they signed Tay Conti, and they're just going to feed her to Nyla Rose on her first day signed. Weird. FTR celebration, and Matt Hardy's going to speak. Okay. Jake promo with Lance Archer. The dyed mustache of Jake Roberts is very distracting. I'll just say that. But Lance Archer, by virtue of his win in the Battle Royal, is going to challenge soon, and we find out very soon, challenge Jon Moxley, the AEW champion. We go to commercial. We come back. Matt Hardy does a promo. Reby and the Baby are there in masks. Matt Hardy basically says sorry, and he says, I'm going to take some time off to recover, though he shouldn't need time to recover. I don't, confusing, but whatever. He cuts a very sincere promo saying he's sorry, but he's going to take some time off, and then when he comes back, he's going to go after a championship. All right. Second match, Angelico versus Orange Cassidy. It's what you would expect. Orange Cassidy goes over with the Superman punch eventually, after a little bit of wrestling, grappling. And then Santana and Ortiz show up and beat up Orange. Chuck Taylor and Trent come and fight them. And then Chuck Taylor cuts a promo, okay, and says the long and short of it is we want Santana and Ortiz. We're going to have a fight in a parking lot next week's show, which we don't know when it's going to be. It depends on the playoff situation. All right. So when we come back, we're going to find out who Kip's best man is, I guess, at some point. Go to commercial, come back. Alex Marvez wants to interview the Bucks, but they super kick him. What the fuck? Terrible. Oh, God. This is just terrible. Okay, Kip and Penelope are in the ring. They bring out some large fan of theirs who they encourage to sign up for their Twitch. So the joke of, we can do Twitch, WWE can't. Gotcha. Then they bring out Brian Pillman Jr. Says, you said I was your best man. No, I said you were the best, comma, man. Ha 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 ha. And then we bring out, and it's Miro, ooh, slash Rusev. What a weird fucking way to bring him out. And is that the deal? Is his name is going to be the best man? And so somebody went, oh, like best man in a wedding. Let's do it like that. Oh, I imagine tonight's AEW, or this night's AEW Dynamite is probably going to do the best rating they've done in a long time, on the heels of a pay-per-view that did not go so well, and a dark that was of the least amount of consequence that I can ever remember. This is not a good Dynamite. Let me make that clear. It wasn't a good night, and it was a night where more people saw it than have seen it in a long time. I hope they don't take that as a victory, but instead realize, like, man, we got to shore up some stuff. Because when you think about all the guys that they have signed who didn't get used on this, and all that, I mean, I hate it because I love AEW, but I see the writing on the wall, which is, man, there's a lot of problems with this show that are going to be covered up by the fact that a lot of people are watching this show than were watching it before. And the two don't have anything to do with each other. And in fact, it's going to cause long-term damage. This show concerned me a lot. The third match, Jericho and Hager against Sonny Kiss and Joey Janela. We get a split screen for this. They show us some results of Dark during the match. Okay. Janela's taken out with a table, which was a spot that worked out pretty well. And so Sonny's taking on them both. So it's like, oh, this is kind of cool. And then Hager catches Sonny with the head and arm, basically the slam, basically a rock bottom, and then holds on to it, and Sonny kisses out. And then Jericho declares they're going to go after the tag titles. Just odd. So in a tag team thing that's already packed, now Jericho and Hager are going to go there. It just seems very, I don't know. Well, I'll talk about this more later. MJF fires his entire crew of his re-election campaign, has a run-in with Wardlow. They've been teasing a split, but then basically they decide to stay together. Commercial, they come back. Moxley promo, he brings up Lance Archer, another very good promo from Jon Moxley. The FTR celebration. There's a cake that doesn't get used and thrown in anybody's face. What the fuck? And there's a bunch of tag teams standing around for this coronation of sorts. And then basically the Jurassic Express are going to get a non-title match. Okay. I mean, just these segments they're not interesting or riveting. That's a concerning thing to me. Tay Conti against Nyla Rose. That's going to happen after the break. And then the next Dynamite is Thursday, September 17th, apparently. Okay. Commercial, come back. Taz, we hurt Darby. And then Ricky Starks comes out and is making fun of Darby. And that's that. Clips of Rosa and Sheeta. Okay. I mean, even as I'm describing the show, there's nothing that really grabs you, right? I mean, it was a terrible Raw this week. And this didn't seem to make a lot of headway. I watched NXT on Tuesday, and I thought it was a very good show. And I wanted this to be a very good show, and it just wasn't. Tay Conti, who they announced was just signed, yep, and takes on Nyla Rose, and Nyla Rose beats her. We get a split screen for them as well. The Young Bucks, apparently fined $5,000 for kicking Alex Marvez, whatever that means to us. We're going to get news from Cody afterwards. Nyla wins with a Beast Bomb, which looked really, really good, I will say. Vicky screams, and as they go to beat up Conti some more, Sheeta comes and saves her. It's the one thing that I think looked very wrestling, which you could see where it was leading. So Sheeta, the babyface, comes and helps fellow babyface Tay Conti because she was helpless, to lead up to a conflict betwixt she and Nyla Rose again. Makes perfect sense. But other stuff just hangs in the air. They make fun of Darby Allin, no consequences, nothing advanced. See what I mean? JR's with Kenny Omega. What's the long and short of it? Kenny's going to go solo, not have anything to do with Paige anymore. Okay. Is he going to wrestle Paige? No. He's just, it is what it is. Okay. A whole lot of stuff is promoted at this point, but I just want to get to the main event. So Dustin Rhodes against the TNT champ, Brody Lee. They get the split screen. It's a good, hard-hitting match, as it should be. Brody Lee wins with the discus lariat. They bring QT from the back, who's beat up. And they low kick Dustin. And at the end, Cody cuts this promo, which you think is for a wrestling thing. And he's like, in Macon, Georgia, we're going to have this show in a bubble. It's the Go Big show. So it's basically America's Got Talent, except with really extreme acts. And a bunch of judges, of which he is one, along with Rosario Dawson, Snoop, and Nettles. Oh, boy. A lot of people saw this show. I hope people found things that they liked about this show. Dynamite now has had 2 shows in a row that I think weren't very good and show signs of being incredibly disjointed, and it alarms me. Hopefully they can right the ship as they gear up towards their next pay-per-view. I'm just being honest. You know how I do. This is Stephen Platinum, your friend in wrestling, with Platinum versus AEW Dynamite.